Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month, we'll feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here's your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. I have a beautiful guest today. Her name is Cheryl Stelte. She is a spiritual coach, master healer, speaker, and best-selling author of 3 transformative books. She is the CEO and founder of the Star of Divine Light Institute and the Azarias Energy Healing Certification Program. Azarias, right? Did I get right the second time, Cheryl?
You got it.
Yeah. Cheryl is an energy healing and empowerment expert. Thank you, Cheryl, for both being on my podcast today and for being our keynote at our next summit.
Oh, thank you, Karen. It truly is an honor. It just lifts my heart.
So for those of you who don't know yet, my next summit in October 2025 is called Finding Energy After Trauma. Tell me, Cheryl, why did that speak to you as wanting to be a speaker for the summit?
Oh, it's as soon as you ask me the question, I just have goosebumps head to toe. I don't know that anybody gets to escape trauma in this lifetime. And for me, I was in a very dark place years ago. I had just ended a 13-year marriage, and nobody knew what a narcissist was back then, but an alcoholic we knew. And I had 2 small children. And I went through this divorce, and then here I had the rest of my life in front of me, and I just felt so lost. And my second youngest brother had taken his life, and I had just been diagnosed with severe depression, and I was lost.
Was this rock bottom for you?
One of them, probably the most rock bottom. The rock bottom was before I ended the marriage. So this, I still felt every day I felt relief that I was no longer married to him. And my trust in God really grew during that time. But I was on the beach with my girlfriend who was doing kinesiology on me to practice. She was learning this. And my deceased brother's spirit showed up. Neither of us could believe it. There was suddenly this huge ball of white light hovering above me, and it was the most intense love I had ever felt. And spiritual was not a word in my vocabulary, meditation, energy healing back in those days. And his message at the end of the day really was for me to start meditating. And I learned to meditate, and I incorporated the full breath, and that is still the basis of the energy work that I do today. And what I realized, what I was able to do was start going deeper into my subconscious and start uncovering the traumas that I didn't even know existed, that I didn't even know were there.
From
And
this lifetime or past lifetimes?
from this
Or both?
lifetime.
Okay.
And I did some past life work as well. I did often during that time visit that. And it just changed the trajectory of my life. And here I am today, 32 years later, doing this work full time, and so grateful, so fulfilled.
No, that's quite the story. Before your marriage, did you have any developmental trauma from childhood? In
Oh,
part,
yeah.
like you said, you started to remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Any of that you feel comfortable sharing?
I would say the number one thing on a daily basis was emotional neglect. And I would say all my clients suffered from severe emotional neglect. And it's something that was so common, was just so common to not have an emotional resource there that you could turn to as a small child with your emotions. Didn't exist. And many other things. My parents had 4 kids in 5 years. So I don't know that any of us got enough attention. And my dad worked out of town some of the time. And so I don't view my parents as bad parents. There were a lot of similar parents back in those days, but how could they possibly be an emotional resource for us when they likely didn't get it? This is part of what I see today, humanity's development, is that we learn to share our emotions, and we'll probably get more into the emotions and the importance of sharing those as we talk here.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting conversation. One, I really resonate with the emotional. Like, I am a complex trauma survivor, and emotional abuse, in my experience, was the hardest one to heal from. And now I understand why, now that I'm doing my own energy healing, is because when we don't have a place to express, we store. And
That's
then
right.
also in my case, not also, but in my case, I should say, I used food as a coping skill to keep pushing it down. It didn't feel like I had a safe place to express. And I think it's no accident that you had emotional, not feeling like you got your emotional needs met, and now you're an energy healer. I think that is a perfect combination. Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And instead of food, I just learned to shut down. I just shut down, didn't feel anything, had to shut down to survive. And later in life, notice that pattern in everyday life. Oh, wait a minute,
Mhm.
aren't you feeling angry? Stuffing it down.
Most people would.
Yeah.
So when you said that you shut down, I think shutdown can look differently for different people. What did that look like for you? Were you isolating? Were you numbing yourself out with working hard? Did you wrap yourself up in your children? What did that look like for you?
It went through different phases. What I've come to realize is I really learned to shut down about the age of 5. That was when I have multiple memories where I am just shut down. And then I remember after that age that there would be things going on, and I would think, how come I don't feel anything? I actually shut down so strongly, I lost a capacity to feel much, numb,
Hmm.
numb, numb to things and wondering. And then as an adult, even after the marriage, I noticed that if I say dated someone for a while and then it would always be me ending the relationship. So I would just shut down. And then this person that I thought I cared very much about, I would end the relationship and I'd be like, where did all my feelings go? I feel nothing. So I was oblivious to the pattern, but yet I became aware of the pattern, like the witness looking in. But I think I learned very early on. I think the pattern started, I was just a couple months old. And apparently, so my mother said I was sick and she was given a prescription from the doctor for me. So I'm a newborn baby. And she went into my room and I was projectile vomiting. And she took me to emergency. And I said, did you give me too much? She said, no, I don't know. I think the prescription was wrong. She and my father came to see me once and I cried. So they never came again. And I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Wow.
And they didn't
Was
come
it?
once. And my mother will still insist today that they did the right thing because they didn't want to make me cry. How
Oh,
much
wow.
oxytocin was I getting? And that's 1961. Nurses
Yeah.
were not holding the babies and
No.
understanding the importance of bonding. So people became not so safe.
Yeah, it's a little soul
Yeah.
not getting that basic need met. That's huge. Yeah. I'm so sorry that you experienced that. But look at you turned it into a gift.
I did. And I believe that all our souls sign up for the parents. So my soul signed up for that serious disconnection so I could really learn connection. And it's really only the old souls that sign up for the hardest challenges, I
I
believe.
know. I
And
know.
And I see it so often. I do a lot of chakra readings. I can see people's energy. I can see where they're shining brightly, what their superpowers are, and where the blocks are. And then I can see through the crown chakra how old the soul is often. And I only get old souls these days. I used to get some really young souls and all kinds. And it seems like it's very similar people that keep coming in front of me. And it's those old souls that came here to learn the hardest lessons and help humanity in the greatest ways.
So I'm guessing you can see that I'm pretty old.
You're very old soul. You're a very old soul, Karen. Yes.
Yeah, I realized it probably at 4 years old. I was the kid on the playground mediating, like, can't we just get along? Let's stop playing. I was like doing mediation. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm very curious. I know energy healing has been part of what's been healing for you, obviously, if you've decided to do this for others. But what about writing? How has writing your books and all the different types of writing you've done, how has that been healing for you?
Oh, what a great question. Nobody's asked me that. I love it. It has been so healing for me because I had to get over my own fears of being seen as an author. I never thought of myself as a writer, although even as I remember being back to grade 10, I started to love to write and but never thought of myself as a writer, let alone an author. And I was guided to write my first book. And it doesn't matter who you are, you write a book. I believe it's such a great opportunity to grow through writing. And to me, so much about the work that I do in the world and so many people that I help, it's really about God, source, the universe moving through us and expressing through us. And so all three of my books were written in meditation. I did the outlines, I did all the preliminary work. And then when it was, and I had everything organized in chapters, and then it was a matter of sitting down for 2 or 3 hours. It was usually 2 2-hour sessions a day for 8 days on average. And I just wrote and I would just kept breathing and allowed myself to be that channel, that vessel. And then it was the editing process afterwards that was more time consuming, but it helped me grow and see where my own areas were that were coming up through each book to be healed. And in every one of them, I would get to a point at some point, who do you think you are to write this? It cracks me up now, but in the moment, it doesn't, it's very
Right, right.
uncomfortable. And so the imposter syndrome has been has played a role in there and getting over that. And it really is, who am I not to write about these things? And so I'm very,
That's a better question, isn't it?
yes.
Who am I not to do this? Love that. Really love that. Okay, so we know that energy healing, writing has been healing, meditation's been healing. Talk a little bit about your spirituality and how that was healing for you. I know it's all interconnected, but maybe just say a little more about that.
After that experience on the beach, a few days later, I was questioning myself, did this really happen? And I had told my family, and my dad said, no, that didn't happen. She's making it up. And so all my brothers just, and my mother was neutral. And I started thinking, did I? Is this a psychotic kind of thing? Is there something wrong with me that happened? But I had a sister-in-law. My sister, I talked to her about it, and she had read Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's book on death and dying, and that a lot of people will experience the self-doubt after something like that. But it
Right.
opened up my world to shamanism initially, and I studied and practiced shamanism diligently. And then it was like I moved beyond it. It's not like it ever left me. I actually thought I'm finished with this and went on a whole new journey. But it really has been about learning who we all are, about life. And like you said, you were the 4-year-old on the playground as the mediator. I was the little 5-year-old who was asking everybody about the universe and the stars and God and how do you feel God? And those were the
I love that.
conversations I wanted to have. And nobody would people would like these other kids I remember at recess time at school, and I would, nobody engaged with me the way I wanted to engage. And so I became an altar girl. I became an altar girl in the Catholic Church, and
That's
I would
funny.
know God better that way. And I prayed, and it was just this longing that I always had. So my spirituality was sort of what had come back to me during that time. And then I was led, it's about knowing God better, but really we know God the most through knowing the self, because God is inside of all us.
Within us. Yeah.
It's experiential. It's
Hmm.
not, and that was the experience I had longed for so many years. So finding that each step along the way, and I continue on my journey, is I'm so passionate about it. It's so meaningful to me, and to help others discover that in themselves has been, that's what my spiritual, I've studied Sufism, Buddhism. I went to India, Africa. I have traveled and I've done a lot.
Ooh, I would love to be your travel buddy. That sounds so fun.
That'd be great.
Awesome. And how do you teach your students that are in your certification? Is it online, in person, classes, group programs? What does that look like?
Yes, it's a group program and it's all online. I have discovered I used to just do energy work in person. And then when I started doing it online, there was something in me that just knew. Someone had said, you can do it online as well. And I realized it's the same. And so I teach others. And it's really, in the beginning, it's about getting over the hurdles around your own personal belief that you can be an energy worker, and we all have the capacity, and that you can do it, and that because we really are all one. Separation is an illusion. And so I can do the exact same work online as I do in person. So it's all online, a 9-month program, and then people have a practicum. But it's just, and I teach people how to do chakra readings through that, because it's important to develop a number of skills and to really learn to open up. And I think the big thing is with it is a lot of people will say, oh, I have to prepare to do energy work. I have to prepare to do the healing because I'm always so exhausted. And that concerns me, because when it's God, source, the universe flowing through us, it actually energizes us. So when you're in a really good program, if I'm doing back-to-back healings, whoa,
You're buzzing.
you bet. And you understand that.
Yeah. Okay, so your 9-month program, I'm just wondering for the listener and myself who may be interested, does it do you offer it once a year? People start and stop at the same time? How does that work?
I've offered it twice and I'm looking at offering it again in 2026. And so
Okay,
so I start taking applications earlier in the year around February. I don't find January is always the best month for that. And then we usually get going in the spring, April, and finish by the end of the year.
I see. It sounds wonderful. I think the more we learn about energy, being open to the spiritual, I guess, realm is the best word for it. I loved what you shared about your brother. I know when my mom died, I remember that first Mother's Day just being like I went to bed early and I was so worried about having a bad Mother's Day, like feeling like we had complicated relationships. So I was worried about all these complicating emotions coming up because God forbid we have emotions, right? So I remember laying in bed just being really worried about it and my body was super, super tense. And all of a sudden this healing light from top of my head to the tip of my toes washed over me. And I was completely at peace. And
Oh,
I was like, okay, thank you so much. And Mother's Day was great. I was totally fine.
oh, I
So
love
yeah, it's not the same, but it did remind me of that. And I've only had that feeling, that complete wash like that just a few times in my life. So it's very special when it happens,
and
you
you never
know?
forget it, and you can't make that up.
I wish I could. I wish I could ask for it on demand because it's still, even all the years I've been a therapist and all the modalities I've studied, it's very easy to get stuck in old patterns.
Yes.
And one of my old patterns is that fight and flight. So yeah, the energy work has been so invaluable for that. All right, tell me what's next. You're going to offer the program for the third time. What else is next for you?
I'm coming out of the closet I have two new things. I'm coming out of the closet on mediumship. And so I have been a medium for a long time, and I've never put that out there. And it's not something I've advertised, but there are clients occasionally that could use some of that work. And so I actually recognized in myself, I wrote the throat chakra book because I think I had the most throat chakra issues than anybody. I think a lot of our issues will come up in different layers. So I was on a podcast, Spirit Beside You, and it's all about mediumship. And this guy really wanted me to speak. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. I'll try. And I couldn't believe how our experiences in mediumship, and he's a professional, were the identical. I said, whoa, because nobody taught me and nobody taught him. We just
Mm,
threw out. So
just gifted.
it's there, gifted. And so I thought, why don't I talk about this? And I realized I've been hiding it for fear of, subconsciously what people will think because I'm so old school. I have all that old programming where today it's just so accepted. And
Yeah.
it's like, silly Cheryl, you can come out of the closet on that. And then the other thing I'm doing that's very different, I feel like quite a master when it comes to chakra readings. I've been doing it a long time. I get so much information for people, so much, and I go very deep. And so I'm starting to do business chakra readings for women in business who want to know where are their blocks, what's getting in their way, and where is the energy flowing well, and what can they do about it. So that's another thing that I'm going to start doing. So I'm quite excited about
So
those
excited.
things.
Yeah. Very exciting stuff. And I'm glad you mentioned your book because let's spend a few minutes talking about your books and what compelled you to write them. And I'm extra curious about the throat chakra because of trauma and survivors feeling voiceless. Could
Yeah.
you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. And so I wrote that book because what I realized, like I said, I had so many throat chakra issues myself, very mousy. You would never believe who I used to be, and a lot of physical things going on with the throat chakra. And I realized pretty much all my clients, my energy healing clients, had throat chakra issues. And like many healers, I used to work on the throat chakra to help people heal, but the stuff would always come back. I worked on my own throat chakra for a period of time once. It was about 5 or 6 years, just steady. And the stuff, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I had seen other professionals, that sort of thing. And then I realized that all our throat chakra issues start in the root chakra. And that's the place to heal them because the energy rides up to the throat
Right.
chakra. So it's all the root chakra issues around feeling safe and stable in the world, to express ourselves fully, to be seen and heard. And the ultimate level of the throat chakra is expressing your soul's purpose. And so here you are continuing on this journey, and it develops the throat chakra, but you've got to have that first safety and stability, which then moves into trust of faith. And the ultimate level in the root chakra is responsibility and accomplishment, accepting what your soul came here to do, what it's responsible for, and accomplishing that. And all that energy rides up through the other chakras along the spine. Oh, look at those.
Ooh, look at that. I love that. So for those of you listening and don't see the video, check out the YouTube video for this episode because we had some beautiful lighting effects as she was talking about that, and it was just perfect. Oh, look at you making magic. Zoom's catching on to your energy and your healing. I loved all that you said, and that made so much sense to me, what you said about we got to do that root chakra work. How can we do anything else if we don't feel safe?
That's right.
Yeah. Or stable or grounded? No, that was really good. Tell me a little bit about each of your other books.
So the Client Magnet book was the second book I wrote, and it's all about for business women and men, attracting your ideal clients through spiritual practices, spiritual awareness. And that book I decided to write. I believe that the universe, God, source speaks to us through others. And I started to get clients who were coaches and they didn't have any clients. And they would say to me, "Where do you get all your clients?" I'm like, "They just kind of fall out of the sky." So
Yeah.
what I realized is when you're really in your energy and you're in alignment with who you truly are and why you're here, you can learn to really radiate that outward and attract your clients. And so I had a couple women, one who had one group, she had one group program, and it had been about 10 or 11 months. She never had another client. I couldn't imagine being in business that long and not having a client. And I also worked with a functional medicine doctor who was trying to get a program off the ground for a year and a half and never got one client, nothing. And
Mm,
so I helped them, and both of them within 6, 7 weeks had their programs filled, their groups, and they were off to the races. And so I've continued to do that work because it's just so important. Because part of being an entrepreneur, I think in business, we all grow through our businesses. And when we move to a new level in our business, which both of these women did, whatever kept us doing it before will come up to be healed. You're nodding your
yeah.
head.
Mm,
Yeah, I get it. And
mm,
so I'm able to take all that light that they have in certain areas and utilize that to heal what's getting in the way. And again, it's going into those deeper emotions. And I go very deep. Pretty much all my clients who have done years of work, especially the older ones who have done so much personal work, they always say, "Wow, Cheryl, nobody goes deeper than you." So
yeah,
go
that's
deep. If you're afraid to go deep, don't
uh,
call me. You
I know. Don't waste each other's time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they were able to do the very deep work and make those shifts quickly so they could start to attract those ideal clients. And then I think it was a couple years later, I just wrote From Block to Powerful last year. And that book is the spiritual guide to unlocking clarity and authentic power. And that was for me, each book was transformative for me, but that book was probably more so because when I stayed in my relationship, my first marriage, as long as I did, because I think I felt so powerless to leave. It was like a part of me knew I was going to leave, but, and part of what drew me to your podcast when we connected was the Heal Thrive Dream. I wasn't able to dream about my future. That wasn't happening. So hard for me to dream. And my mother told me years later that my dad used to say, only clowns dream because dreams don't come true. And
That
so
makes me want to cry. That's
yeah.
so sad.
And so I'd never heard him say that, but it was life is just about survival. So
Yeah.
dreaming has been a big challenge for me.
Hmm.
Gaining clarity, when you get clarity, inner clarity, that moves you into authentic power. It goes against, that's part of all the dreaming. And so it
Hmm.
was me opening up myself again, once again, to a whole other level of what's possible. We can't dream if we're conditioned. It's like we're in a cage, we're limited, we have these walls around us. And so that book, I thought, I wasn't planning on writing a third book. I only thought I'd write one. Here I am. But that book, I thought, this is this is my legacy book. This is the one book I really want to leave on the planet, even though my Client Magnet book is the most read book.
I love them all.
Oh,
They all
awesome.
sound amazing.
Awesome.
They all sound, yeah.
Yeah, that one has a number of different practices. I bring the shamanism into it more, Sufism, different practices, the most powerful ones. Because authentic power, especially for women, is not like men. It's really very peaceful. Women feel peace when they're in their authentic power. It's a
That's
deep
right.
inner knowing.
It's not competitive, is why. It's more collaborative. We collaborate with each other,
Yeah,
we collaborate with humanity, actually with nature,
so
with
true.
everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I could talk to you for, you should just come stay the weekend. How's that?
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. You are so beautiful. And I would never have guessed that your dad had such a limited belief and he spoke it even non-verbally in the household because you are making your dreams come true with your work. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, I can dream now.
Yeah. So it's clear. Even just coming out of the closet, as you said, about talking about your future endeavors, those sound like dreams to me.
Yes.
Very nice, Cheryl. Is there anything that we missed that you really wanted to cover today?
The one thing that I want to cover is that it's very important that we heal at the level of the subconscious and that we gain some sort of modality, some sort of access into your subconscious. And the way I learned to do it very early on, initially, was with a long, full breath, because that changes the brain function. And so it's when we can go deeply into that that we can access our traumas. You can't heal a trauma, to me, if you can't access it. No memories are required. And we must remember that science has proven that trauma is actually encoded in the right brain, in the subconscious, through physical sensations and emotions. Any memories are fragmented. So whether it's sexual abuse, torture, neglect, whatever it is, the memories are always fragmented and they're not that important. It's the physicality, it's being left in life with this sense of uncertainty. You're never going to find a confident, certain person who's had a great deal of early childhood trauma. And because of the brain's neuroplasticity, we can release all that. We can release it, and it's possible to reprogram your subconscious. And if I can talk a little bit about, this is my brand new, I have a giveaway of 3 meditations teaching you how to do that, how to access your subconscious. That's the first 2 meditations, using the breath well to learn how to build those muscles. And then my creating safety and stability in the root chakra, my most listened to meditation for many years.
That's so generous of you too to offer that to people for free. Please don't forget to send me the link for that. I'll
I
add it into the show
certainly
notes.
will. Yes.
Okay. Well, Cheryl, it's been such a pleasure hosting you today. And I want to thank you again for being both our speaker and keynote for the next summit, Finding Energy After Trauma.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's been such an honor.
Thank you for listening in today. Please join us next week, same day and time. Also, I would love for you to check out my website, healthrivedream.com.